Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another live broadcast. I am Jacob Israel, and you are in for a treat, my friends. This is going to be a good one. We're going to go all over today. We're going to go all over. We're going to go to Mars, to Rome, celebrity, to Israel, to everywhere. We're going to be asking a question. Is Santa Claus real? No, that's not what we're going to be asking. But St. Nick is part of this story. You're going to enjoy it, so I hope that you are buckled up, as the t-shirt says, and give me a little sound check. Let me know that everything is doing okay. This is one of those shows that has kept me up at night. I have been a little, I should say, concerned, but very excited about the things that are going down. Very excited. Got a lot of people watching already, and a lot of you already hit the like button. Thank you very much. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but things are getting really weird. Like really weird. But they're about to get so much weirder. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, so let's get some of the stuff out of the way, some of the things that you all send me. I'm going to do that first before I get into the meat of the show. Just a couple of things, like possibly the Machachek is here. That's off-grid desert farming with Paul, and they're friends of the channel. They watch the show. Nice people. I guess they just did the show. You should probably check it out. But this guy, they say he's the genius. He's the greatest around. Turns out I did a show about him a long time ago, probably about a year ago or so. I'm trying to find the clip of it. Probably about a year or so I did. And it's one of those things where, I talked about him. I kind of warned everybody about the things that are coming. Here's the show. That was, almost 2 years ago, I guess. It was around the same time that they were doing that golden parade down the Avenue of the Gods for Egypt. The returns of all the pharaohs. It was quite a spectacle. It was a big deal. And of course, we know that we're living in Egypt. We know you have those the Great American Eclipses that cross-sect. About almost 6 months, 6 years and 7 months in between the two. 2017 was the Great Sign. Then we had these two wonderful eclipses that made an X over the United States, and they crossed in Little Egypt, Cairo. So it's no joke that the gods have returned. Little G, mind you. People also, before the show, I saw Lisa Gordon was like, how come you didn't include the birthday cake? That's right. I on Twitter, I shared TMZ's covering of her party, Dojo Cat. It's ironic. If you look right below, you'll see that I guess that Ye has been dropped by Balenciaga, the master. He's been wearing that mouthpiece. We talked about this just on the other show. I guess he's been dropped now. But yeah, that show that was a weird party. There's a picture of the cake. The Biebs was there. A lot of people were there. It was very we'll just say it was like that movie Eyes Wide Shut. It was very weird. Weird. But what are you going to do, It's out in the open now. They're not hiding it anymore. No. Even this morning I shared one of Eminem's artists released I think she thinks she's a vampire or something. I shared it on Twitter. If you're not following me on Twitter, will you? It's Jacob Israel 71. I post there a lot more than the other places, but I am on Facebook, and I am on, there's a Telegram link if you want to get notifications. I set it up like a meatball, so there's no way to comment, but it really is a great place to just know, hey, I'm going live. Hey, I got a show coming up. So go in the description of the video below. Everything is there because we have a lot to talk about. The coming days are going to be very interesting. On my last live show, I covered this election day lunar eclipse. Very interesting. Total lunar eclipse, also known as a blood moon. Lots of red stuff. Lots of red stuff in this show, just so you know. Like the Red Planet, the Red this, the Red that, Red October. This is a fun show. Take a look. Here we go. This is when it's going to be, on November 8th. And all the articles that are kind of talking about this, they're saying that it's going to be a very interesting election day. It's like foreboding. It's a warning that it's going to be a red wave. And if you've been watching long enough, you know that everything that happens now has pretty much been recorded in Scripture. Everything that is now has already been. It's in the book of Ecclesiastes. There's nothing new under the sun. And in the end days, get this, in the end days, in the final judgment, everyone is brought together for this great moment in history. Something like 7,000 years it could take, or 6,000 years, because a day is like 1,000 years to the Lord. But at the end of this generation, because Jesus said this generation shall not pass. But it's interesting because that was a long time ago. So could it be that the generation goes on for thousands of years? And that God brings everybody back at the very end to judge the living and the dead, the good and the bad, the wheat and the tares. Judgment, people. That's what's going on. And we got a lot of antichrists popping up all over the place. Mashiachs, messiahs, all over the place. Talked about it a couple of years ago. I've been talking about it for years. But now it seems that this is something that everybody's talking about. It's very interesting. My last show was about, I talked about 11/11, okay? 11/11 is Veterans Day. It's the end of World War I. At the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. 11/11. I feel like there's something to it. Been seeing it my whole life. It's all over my novel. If you watch my shows, my pre-produced shows, I have a clock. It's always set to 11/11. If you go back and you watch shows from the very beginning, when I started on here back in like 2008, you'll see the clock was set to 11/11, like a wake-up call. And I, over the years, have learned that that is a scripture that holds a lot of relevance to me. It's in the book of Revelation. Revelation, 11/11. And God breathed life. And they rose. The witnesses rose. You see, there's so much fear and there's so much anxiety and there's so much stress about a lot of things coming. You know? But you better not shout. You better not cry. I'm going to tell you why. It's interesting. Because there's something that I wanted to cover on that last show, which I really didn't get a chance to. And I think I need to now. Why, thank you very much for the super chat, Angela Reed. By the way, everyone, if I ever miss your super chats, I like to say this on the shows, do me a favor, email me. Because I don't always look at the live feed. When I do, I basically can see only the ones that were just from a little while ago. And if I was to scroll up and go looking, it would everybody would get bored because it would take a while because you got so many of you wonderful people commenting. By the way, half of you, not half of you, less than half of you have hit the like. Come on. We do this every time. Please do hit the like. It's very important. The more people that like the show, the more it tells the YouTube, powers that be, the artificial intelligent powers that be, to share this around because it's an inspiring and an encouraging show. Yes, so 11/11, there is a spectacular Mars-Moon conjunction. If you look at the bottom, you'll see it says looking west 1 hour before sunrise. 11/11. 11/11/11 if you take the twos. 22 is a very important number. I'm going to let you do a little homework, and I want you to look that up and see what that means. Let's just say it's very symbolic. But this incredible conjunction. What is a conjunction? Can someone tell me in the chat? Come on, class. Tell me. Tell me what it is while I put up this other important piece of the puzzle, which I hinted at during the live show. And I also hinted at on Twitter. I gave little notes, I put out little fishing bait, I guess, to see who would dig a little bit deeper. And I got to tell you, Alyssa came through. Alyssa came through. A lot of you come through for me every week, and I'm very grateful for it. So this conjunction, when they are lined up, Jude says, that's very good. Goldie says planets side by side. When they conjoin, conjunction, junction, what's your function? Thomas says. That's right, 2 planets. So that means that there are 2 planets that are next to each other, that are conjoined. They've come together like conjoined twins, if you will. Mars is also known as the god of war. The god of war. Scary. Mars. Ooh, the red planet. Occupy Mars, Elon says. Go into Mars. Very wild stuff. Some interesting information about Mars we're going to get to in a second. But this is also happening. So there's this conjunction between those stars and this. Elnath. Elnath. Otherwise known as the tip of the bull, the Red Bull, the Red Ruddy Bull. You remember what Ruddy is, right? Adam's name, Adam, mankind, Ruddy. Esau was Ruddy. It's a picture of, kind of like base level thinking, I guess, carnal thinking. Not exactly the most uplifting color in the scriptures. But Alyssa says the definition is a blue-white star of the 2nd magnitude, 2nd brightest star in the constellation Taurus. That's the bull. But look at that. It's the ruddy eye of the bull. Now, this is happening at the same time. We just had this at the Commonwealth Games. The Red Bull, the Ruddy Bull. All of these things coming together, it's very interesting because it kind of signals something that perhaps may affect us all. I don't know if it's in a good way or if it's going to affect us in a bad way, but I do know that all things work together for the good. And the bull, the Baal, is, it was worshipped. It was worshipped back in the day. It's a beast. It's a red beast. Scary red beast. Scary red beast. Now, speaking of secret societies and all that jazz, do you remember on the show recently, maybe a couple of months ago, I started telling everybody you're going to start hearing about the Knights Templar everywhere. Okay? Well, do you know that the great power, I shared this on Twitter as well, I send out little tweets, I give people little heads up. And what I've been doing on Patreon, if you're supporting me on Patreon, thank you. Incredibly helpful. I really appreciate it. What I've been doing on Patreon is I've been giving people the heads up. So I'm giving them a little bit more information, and I kind of share the thumbnails beforehand. But don't expect it. I'm trying to do it as much as I can because I do appreciate you all, and I want to kind of take you behind the scenes. The great power of the Templars began with the bull. Rome, the Templars. We're fighting the good fight. That's it. Yeah. They were in charge of like the financial system. And they were very powerful. And they answered to nobody until, of course, a king got upset with them. Pope Innocent II granted total independence to them, including exemption from taxes and more. Only accountable supposedly to the Pope. But man, the Templars, right? Remember I did that whole show about the Crusades? Let me show you. I think I may even have a clip of that show. Maybe I don't. Who knows? But after I did the show, do you remember Elon started tweeting out pictures of, the Crusades and the Life of Brian and the Holy Grail, all of that stuff, the Knights Templar. So I talk about the Knights Templar, and he puts it all out, and he starts talking about Rome. It's very strange. Very strange, because this conjunction that's taking place has to do with that tip of the bull. This is all going to come together in such a way. If you please would hit the like button so more people can get here and go, wow, because it's weird. Yeah, it's something else, this planet. Mars is the Roman god of war. Yep. Roman god of war. War. Just so happens at the same time, I was going to talk about this on a couple of shows earlier. I actually had it loaded, but I just never got to it. Sometimes I forget things. This is coming out too. Look at the date. The day after the election. It's just very strange. Ragnarok, of course, is like a version of, we could say, the end of the world and the old age and a new, it's a kind of like Judgment Day, if you will, for the pagans. For the people that believe a little bit differently, that were raised differently, that weren't taught things the way other people were taught. Everybody's got these, they all think they got the truth. Only God has the truth. But it's interesting that Mars, the god of war, show's called the god of war, the video game's called the god of war, all of this stuff is very coincidental, that it's all coming out around the same time. But I haven't even begun to show you the stuff that's really like, this is just weird. There's more to it. I feel like every time I come on here, there are this little string that I pull at, and it's like the more I pull, the more I see. And it's not even me. I was telling the Dan last night. So thank you all for your wonderful comments. I shared a picture. We went out. We went out. Our friend turned 60 years old. And we went out, and we realized when we were there, like, wow, we're at a 60-year-old's party, and he's our friend. I'm 51. We're getting up there. But I shared a little picture, and everybody was saying how beautiful she was and everything else. And I've been begging her to come on the show because I would like for us to do like a little Q&A or talk about our relationship. She's a very wise woman. She's got so much to offer. She's like my rock, She's my best buddy. And she makes me scared sometimes when she gets mad at me. She can be tough. She can be tough. Thank God for that, because I need someone to keep me in line. God of war. Danielle's not the god of war, but Danielle actually means God is my judge. And we are definitely in for a time of judgment and correction. Because you know what? All these things came at us. We had the plagues, we had this, we had that. And you know what? Not many people repented. Many of you, so many of you, right, are turning to God, loving more, being more kind, being more compassionate. I don't think most people give a hoot about any of this stuff. I talk to people at the gym when I go to the gym. I don't think that most people care. I think that they're just, this world has stolen their joy, stolen everything from them. This world has occupied their hearts. Occupied. Rome did this, by the way. Came in and destroyed everything. Do you remember I talked about they just did this, the libation ceremony? When they took the golden censer and they went into the pool of Siloam, which, by the way, means sent. Rome came in and was like, you're not going to seek the Lord anymore because there's problems. And he burnt everything down, just like Jesus said. He said, not one stone is going to be left. Everything's going to be toppled down. They toppled it down and they built a sewer on top of it. I had people email me telling me they didn't do that by accident. They did that to humiliate and to show the world how very little they care about the things of God. It's terrible. A sewer on top of this pool, the pool of Siloam, where you begin your pilgrimage to the great temple, where you begin your pilgrimage to know God, the place where you get clean. Rome is like, I'm going to tear it down and I'm going to put a bunch of poop on it. And that's what they did. But Elon says Rome is underappreciated. No, he doesn't say Rome is. The Rome show. And it is a good show. But Rome, there was a big problem. Do you remember Elon was on a Rome kick where he was tweeting out, things with Julius Caesar and everything else? Do you know on the show that I've compared people to Julius Caesar? A person in particular, many times. The emperor, the god emperor, the destroyer, the Trumpster, who is, I got to tell you, just such a character. Such a character. Let's hope that he's not going to do bad things to, good people. Let's hope that he brings correction to bad stuff, because I think I've been saying he's coming for a long time. Once again, if you're new to the channel, I talk about weird things. I have ideas of things. I have weird dreams. Sometimes I see things and I'm like, hey, I think in the future it's going to be like this. And then ironically, it does turn out to be that way. And every time I come on the show, I ask people to talk to the creator of us all, to seek more. So I'm glad that none of this stuff has fallen short, because it's not me. I told Danielle, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how all these pieces come together, just one thing after another. And then they all tie together. I get these ideas. Like, I didn't know Santa Claus was connected to the Templars. Did you? I didn't know that. I had no clue. But let's get back to Rome and the god of war for a second. And I actually thought, how funny would it be if this t-shirt doesn't mean let's occupy Mars, but let the god of war come and occupy us. Like, it's a shirt and it's kind of an inside joke that they're coming, right? Whoever they are, fallen angels, the Anunnaki, whatever you want to call them, the red planet, that they're coming, and the shirt says, occupy, god of war, occupy us. I just thought it would be weird. A little play on words there. I'm not saying that's what it means. Y'all know that I always try to think the best for people. So, and recently on Twitter, it seems like the things he's saying are very encouraging. So we're gonna keep praying for all of them. Do you know that this just came out too? This is not something that makes me happy. It just feels like the timing of it is very sus. Early life on Mars may have wiped out early life on Mars. You know, as a species, we're pretty early on in our walk here. So who's to say that this isn't like sort of a warning? You know, just sort of a warning that, I mean, you know, life was starting, and then I guess all of a sudden, for whatever reason, it just stopped. You know, who even knows anymore with the way things are? It doesn't look like things are going in the right direction, but I believe they are. I certainly believe they are, especially when I see I am talking about how Egypt, Israel, they were slaves. You know, they probably were like you and me. They probably had homes, and they probably had families, and they probably had jobs. They were slaves. They had jobs, but they had to do it. And, you know, just like if they're on the line and they have a deadline to hit, you know, and the bathroom is too far away, you know, they have to go tinkle in a Gatorade bottle like they do at Amazon. Slaves. That's not living. It's not freedom. I even heard Joe Rogan saying, hey, if it pays the bills and everything else. It's like the system. The system is just so corrupt. Slaves. But a lot of them, when they were set free, you know, and Moses was leading them out of Egypt, they were missing the way things used to be. Like, I used to have Netflix. I used to be able to go to McDonald's and get some chicken nugs. I missed the flesh pots. You know what flesh pot is? Egypt. Red Sea. The Red Wave. The Red Wave came and crashed down on Egypt, by the way. When the Red Sea was parted, you know what happened? Israel, they walked right through. God made a way. God parted the Red Sea. God made a way. How? Because he held up what he had in his hand. That's it. Moses was like, how am I going to deliver these people? I'm not even, look, I murdered somebody. I can't go back. They'll kill me. No one's going to listen to me. Who should I say? He goes, what do you have in your hand? What do you have in your hand, people? What do you have to help the world? What do you got? I got a YouTube channel. You know, I got a novel. I got a gym I go to where I can talk to people. What do you got in your hand? You got a Twitter page? You got a Facebook page? You got social media? What do you got in your hand? Lift it up. And then throw it down. And it'll become something that destroys the very thing that scares you the most. And it was that same very thing that Moses had in his hand that he raised up. Whatever he had in his hand. What do you have? I just got a YouTube channel. I don't got much. Well, that YouTube channel helps the sheep to move. Right? The witnesses. It's a beautiful thing. He had a staff. That's it. That staff parted the Red Sea. And then the Red Sea came and crashing down, because guess who was coming after him? Egypt. They wanted him dead. The hunt is on. I've been saying it. Artemis, the Artemis mission. It's all spelled out. How are they going to come for us? I don't know. They've been coming for us. I don't know if you've noticed. It's very sad. Now every time I hear somebody passes away, I think hashtag if they be corrupt. Lord, do something. I had a friend just pass away. Young guy, maybe like 57. Tony Rodriguez. He was my wife's trainer. He just was so excited. He signed a lease on a new gym. He went to his daughter's wedding. The very next day, they don't know what happened. Just like that, gone. Coming for us, right? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I do know, for those with eyes to see, I asked my daughter, what does that mean when you see C between two lines? Shiloh was like, C between the lines, Dad. I'm like, yeah, my God, I thought it was clever. For those who can see between the lines, read what this is saying. Millions of voters turn off their alarms. The alarms! Millions of voters turn off their alarms. The Earth moves across the moon, turning it a scary orange-red color. The coincidentally timed event will unnerve millions of Americans already on edge about impending Election Day chaos. 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 I just like saying chaos. I like saying it that way. Others will joke that the man in the moon is a Republican signaling what? A red wave. The red planet. The red wave. Elnath. The tip of the bull. The ruddy eye of the bull. Interesting. All of this stuff coming together. At the same time, they're going to the World Series, people. It's Red October. Everything's red. Have you noticed that? The red planet, the god of war, red. What does Trump wear? Red hat. Kanye wears it too. A lot of people wear it. MAGA, with no periods in between, which in Latin means witchcraft, which is the fifth degree in Satanism. But it could mean make America great again. I mean, that's what they say it means. So let's take people at their word. It's just ironic timing, don't you think? All of this stuff coming. Democrats, beware. A red wave is coming. We are definitely not better off since Biden took office. That's for sure. And I told everybody this. Remember I was the first one. I don't know if it took off. I don't think it ever did. But I was the first one to say we're biding our time. I said, don't worry. We're biding our time. Something's going to happen. Something's going to happen when we don't expect it. I mean, it's like, I don't know if it's going to happen on 11/11. I think that would be very, very cool. But something indeed is coming. A red wave is coming. Listen, this is the news from the last couple of days. Red wave. Red wave. Red wave. Interesting. If you look down the third, I just noticed something in that third title. He joked that the only way to find SCOTUS leaker from this decision, they will be the bride of a prisoner. Bride of a prisoner. It's interesting. The bride of a prisoner. Symbolically, very interesting. Very interesting. We're going to talk about the Shroud of Turin, too, by the way. Also connected to the Knights Templar. What? All of this is coming out. I love when people at Jacob me on things. I think Twitter has a new feature, by the way, that you can untag yourself from things if you don't like them. That's pretty cool. Sometimes I get I get in a thread and I'm like, I'm just tired of seeing it, But I do love when people tag me in things. He brought the Red Sea with him. The Red Sea. The Red Sea. Years ago, I said it was all about these. See, that's what we're doing. We're approaching the Red Sea. This is the moment in history where the Israel of God, the children of God, those that serve God, those that love God, they're going to be faced, they're going to be pursued, they're going to be faced with trouble. They're going to be pursued, probably scared. Where are we going to get our next meal? And you know what they get? I don't know. I don't know what it is. That's what it's called, manna. I don't know what it is. What is it? Manna. They don't even know what it was. Most people, when they're delivered food, spiritual food, nourishment from heaven, they don't even know what it is. Just eat it up. Eat it up. It'll take care of you. But then they complained about that, so God gave them pheasant. They gave them so much pheasant that they got sick of eating meat. God's always going to provide for us, people. Do you have faith? Do you have faith? Do you have faith that God's going to take care of you? No matter what. Are you a good person? Are you trying to be a good person? Have you let go of the past? The devil spelled backwards is lived. The Red Sea. You're not going to be able to cross it by swimming. You'd have to be a great athlete. You better make sure that God parts that sea for you. This is news for climate change. Interesting. You know, let's look at that word for a second. Let's not get into whether or not I'm not a climatologist. I don't know. Things are the way they are for me. I mean, I haven't noticed much of a difference, but I do know that in other places in the world, it's terrible. They're going through horrible flooding, wildfires, terrible things. And smarter minds than me can figure this stuff out. But what if that word climate change, what if we take it spiritually? Like the climate of everything is changing. Everything. The climate, the way things have been, is changing. It's resetting. So this swimmer attempted to, or he attempts, I don't know if he made it or not. I didn't read the whole article. I didn't have much time to cross the Red Sea. And I thought, isn't this funny? Here I'm talking about the Red Sea and how God's making a way. And we have somebody who's like, God doesn't need to make a way for me. I'm going to swim it. Do me a favor. Don't try to navigate the storm alone. Don't try, because your strength is going to fail you. But with God, all things are possible. I shared this a while ago. I love this. This is like the very first, I guess, meme that I've ever made, really. Everybody was worried that things were going to happen. I'm still concerned about New York City. But I said, when all hope seems lost for God's people, Moses be like. And that is a picture of me saying, like, everybody telling me, oh, it's going to get bad. It's going to get bad. And I'm like, you know what? God's going to make a way. What do I got to be scared of? What do I got to be scared of? I'm supposed to be scared of people that are in power and stuff. I don't want them to hurt me. I haven't done anything wrong to anybody. I wouldn't want to be hurt. Wouldn't want people to persecute me. I've been persecuted, but I wouldn't want it to be worse than I have been. I've been hurt. I wouldn't want it more than I've handled before. I've lost everything. I don't want to lose everything again. But if it happens, I sure as heck am not going to be swimming that Red Sea by myself. You know what I mean? Not at all. Now, you know that I like dreams, right? You know that I'm big time into the dreams. Get a lot of weird dreams and stuff. I believe that there's something very important to them. I actually did a dream show with Marfugel News TV. If you haven't watched his channel, he's good stuff, man. Him and the Donut are buddies of mine, and we did a show on dreams, which was, I thought, very cool. And he told me, look, you got to do it on your show. I don't know. Well, if I can get to a point of doing that, I will. But I'm telling you, dreams have great significance and meaning. Why do I say this? Well, because people email me their dreams. So do me a favor. Don't email me your dreams. But if you want to, just keep it kind of brief. Because I can't be just sitting. I have work to do and everything. I can't be interpreting all your dreams. I'll do a dream show, save it, and then we'll do it on the air. We'll do like a 2-hour live stream, and I'll try to get through everybody's if I can. But there's some people that, like, I'll get an email or I'll get a DM and it'll stand out and I'll think, that's interesting. And good friend of the channel, Genius by Birth here, who's probably in the live chat, if you're there now watching, do me a favor and shout it out. Wow, Will Valentine. Hope is okay. I'm calling you uncle. Yeah, you can call me uncle if you want. I like that. Call me, what do they say? Is it Tio? I barely watch TV anymore. My wife and I, we binge watch every. Oh, that's so cool. Thank you so much. I hope you guys are doing okay. That's really generous of you. Oh, and again, I always admire. Wow, you really must be doing well in your life. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. I really do. Genius by birth is also somebody who's very, very, very generous. And so she sent me this interesting. You can't really see it. Let me move it down. Let me transition it down. Let me bring it down a little bit more so you can see it better. That should help. So she sent me this dream. It was something else, but then she just kind of included this little last tagline. By the way, I had a dream that I met Trump in a Christmas tree farm, and he had straw hair. Weird. Now, what's interesting was I had a whole show about St. Nick. Whole show. And I knew it was important, and I just, for whatever reason, more news came and more things came, and I kind of I shelved it because I didn't feel like it was right. I didn't see the connection yet. Sometimes I got to wait until I see things start to come together. And when they come together in such an inexplicable way, I'm like, oh, I got to do a show because these are some breadcrumbs that made a nice matzo loaf, which is not leavened, which leaven is pride, the idea is that you think you know it all. So I wrote, Christmas tree is Satan Claus. Don't take that to mean you can't celebrate or have Coca-Cola statues of St. Nick or anything, but it makes sense to see Trump there. Trees, and then I said, are the trees alive or dead? See, like, when I thought the trees would be dead, personally, but I didn't want to, be like, oh, the trees must have been dead, because, who knows? For whatever reason, this dream was brought to me, so I asked the question. I say, are they alive or dead? Were they withered? Were they losing their needles? ? And then I said, straw hair is a scarecrow. Scarecrow. Ironically, my next show, I have St. Nick on the plate. What are the odds, right? What are the odds? That was the moment that I knew that I needed to do a St. Nick show. We're going to get there. Oh, it's wild. So I wrote, so she was buying a couple of trees, and I'll read that to you in a second. So you were buying a couple of trees. It was interesting to me. Seems like the trees were what Trump was selling because he was taking pictures with people, according to her dream. And I said, trees are men and women. Jesus revealed this. To see what they were doing means you didn't buy into it, because she said she only picked up a couple of trees just to see what was going on, which was smart, I said. And then she responded, wow. And if you take a look, there's a picture of a tree and a picture of, obviously, even if you look at your thumb, your finger, you can see that your fingerprint is the exact same as the cambium layer of a tree. I see men as trees, Jesus said. And she continued to write that there were trees that weren't cut down along the path, but there were people trying to take the trees firmly planted in the ground. But most of them were easily plucked up. When I read that, I was like, if that isn't such a great picture of people today spiritually. Easily plucked up, bought and sold. Some were rooted firmly in the ground they couldn't take up. Is that you? I hope it's you. And if you don't feel like you are rooted firmly in the faith of God, you can be right now. It's that easy. You just dedicate your life to that. That's it. You give your life to God. That's it. Say, I want to be used. Teach me the truth no matter what the cost, like my t-shirt says. This is all that a person needs to do. This is it. You have to live for more. You got to understand that the idea of who you think you are kind of took over, kind of robbed, because we're supposed to be the temple of God, and turned the temple into a marketplace. What do you think Jesus does, Christ does, when Christ rises in your heart? He turns over the tables. He sets all of the sacrifices free, all the birds, the pigeons, and he sets them all free. He turns over the tables of the money changers. He takes a whip with cords and he casts everybody out. Because only the Spirit of the living God should reside in you. Only hope and truth and love and peace and hope, that should be residing in you. Not worrying about this or worrying about that. Those are the cares of the world. Those are the thorns. Paul had a problem with it. Those are the thorns that strangle the seed that's planted. Those trees that were planted, easily plucked up because it didn't have good, solid earth to go into to begin with. Santa Claus, Christmas trees. And of course, I want to point out that my thumbnail, I'm just going to show you a picture of it again, then we'll come back to where this is not saying at all that he is, the Antichrist. I'm not saying anything about that. I just thought it was funny because she had the dream and he was selling Christmas trees. I just thought that it was funny for him to make Xmas great again. Do you remember Elon has the X app? That is that letter is Christ. It's interesting. Christmas, make it great again. All of this stuff, people, just makes me very excited. Especially since, while all this is going on, we find out that St. Nicholas, his tomb has been discovered. Now, where his tomb was discovered is very interesting because many thought that it was in Kilkenny, Ireland. They thought that it was in Ireland, don't you know? That's right. Do you know why they thought that? Do you know why? Because the Templars brought them there. The bones, back in the day. A saint? If you had somebody that was anointed by the Spirit of God, those bones were powerful relics. They still, to this day, they have relics of all of the people that they consider to be powerful people. Relics. So supposedly, this relic of the bones of St. Nick were brought back. That was the legend. The holy figure who inspired Satan Claus lived between, obviously Ethan doesn't know that Santa exists now. He's 11. But we were talking about this. My oldest, Noah, who, is just such a remarkable young man. All my children are. But we were talking about this, and it's interesting how you have all these things that you're told to believe in, and parents who you're supposed to trust. And I've been guilty of it too, because I was raised with Santa Claus and all that stuff, and I've been guilty of it. All my children, they all got excited to go downstairs to see what Santa brought. They're all excited to see if the Easter Bunny, but I know it's all pagan. I know it is. I also knew that I had freedom, just like Paul, to go into a temple where they had meat sacrificed to like Dagon or whatever gods, and then eat it, have a meal inside of it would be like the equivalent of going into like a satanic church and eating, some lamb that was sacrificed to Baphomet. Paul said that because it's baloney to him. He knows that there's only one true God. He knows that there's nothing unless you worship it. Like people say, because of my set, I have like an elephant, or I'll have, or I have stuff in the background, right? And they'll say, oh, it's idolatry. Look at all the idols. You know what an idol is? Do you have a cross with Jesus on it? Do you have pictures of Jesus around your house with a beard? Now, if I had Jesus in the background, no one would say anything. They'd be like, oh, there's a man of God. But you have an elephant and a bird. You get a couple of candles, and all of a sudden, whoa! It's interesting. Idolatry is when you take the God that says, you shall not compare me to anything in the earth, beneath the earth, above the earth, in the sea, anything, nothing. In Romans, they've taken the image of an incorruptible God, and they've compared him to like the image of beasts, four-footed things, creatures, man, corruptible man. Compared God to the image of a corruptible man. Wild. So, I did that. I did the Santa Claus thing and everything else. But you know what? I also knew with Ethan, I had to tell him. I said, this is just a thing. It's just a thing. And I probably shouldn't have told you that. But I want to tell you what is real. See, that's the thing. Now you got to go down that road, right? Because you just taught your kids. That something is real. It's not real. There was a real St. Nick. Then the Coca-Cola company came around and twisted that and turned it into something. Satan Claus. Dressed in what color, by the way? Red. He's going to find out who's naughty and nice. He's going to give you coal if he doesn't like you. Come down your chimney. It's all very interesting. Especially if you get the picture of Trump. Because he is going to definitely make things hard for the people that have come against him. They've been naughty. They're not going to like it too much. But if they've been nice to him, they may be rewarded. Just like one of the characters in my novel. It's very interesting. So the Templars, ironically, brought the bones supposedly to that. But now they found out that he's actually in Turkey, and it is a very famous find. They say it's probably one of the biggest and most important finds in a long time. Saint Nick, what's going on? This is big news. Santa's story is being told everywhere. St. Nicholas was born in what is now Turkey and served as a bishop in a small town that was once known as Myra, which sounds a lot like Mary to me, or Miriam to me, which means rebellion. I'm not saying that's what Myra means. I didn't look it up, but I think it probably does. Having been around since the waning days of what empire? Rome. Rome, you say? Rome? Quinky-dinky-doo is what I say. All of this, very interesting. Supposedly, he chopped down a demon-possessed tree, stopped a storm, saved girls from prostitution, and he also brought people back to life at the Council of Nicaea, supposedly. They could have just been unconscious. And really, when you resurrect somebody from the dead, it's somebody that is dead spiritually speaking. I'm not saying it doesn't literally happen too. I'm just saying that I'm more concerned with somebody's heart than somebody coming back, being risen back from the dead. Because you know what? Even if somebody saw somebody come back from the dead, they would explain it away. The miracle would mean nothing. But somebody's heart, someone coming back from the dead of ignorance, to be carnally minded is death, the scriptures say. To be carnally minded is death. The wages of sin is death. When you sin, you become a carnal person. To be carnally minded is death, but the spirit of life and truth and hope. So having somebody be risen back from the dead, it's like you pull away the tomb door. That stone that's in front of the tomb, you pull it away. And you say, hey, let me get this. Let me show you clearly. Rise, Lazarus, rise. Now take off those stinky grave clothes and live a new life. That's you. Take off your stinky clothes. The pool of Siloam doesn't have a sewer over anymore. Get yourself clean spiritually. If you want to take a shower while you're doing it, do it. Sometimes I like taking a shower, and I do a lot of praying in the shower. I love praying in the shower. I love it. I just love it. There's something so just rejuvenating about it. I pray all the time. And if you're not praying all the time, you should. Who else you talk to? Talk to God. Talk to God. Santa's real story is a little sus, especially now that I find that it's connected to the Roman Empire and also the Templars. Uncanny timing, don't you think? Look at the name of the movie. But take a look at the font for that word knight. Looks like the Knights Templar, doesn't it? Very interesting. Very interesting to me that Violent Night is coming out. So strange. Is this what we have in store? That's basically where I got the thumbnail idea from. I thought that it would be pretty funny to remake it. It was a lot harder than I thought, by the way. Life is filled with challenges. Life is filled. This is what's happening. Is a violent night coming? Is a red wave coming? Is a red sea coming? Is a hunt coming? Or we got to worry about stuff? Or are we just going to be okay and follow Moses? That impulse, that thing in our heart that's telling us, get out. Get out of your way. Forgive yourself. Stop looking at what could be and what possibly can happen, and stop worrying about whether or not this is going to happen or that's going to happen. Stop tweeting out angry things and blaming other people for the reason you are in the position you are in. I'm promising you, you are exactly where God has you. And if you want better, do better with what you have. How do you do better with what you have? You become grateful for it. Even if you got nothing but a car. I got to tell you, I have a lot of people that are living in their car. I can't send people money or anything. I just getting by. I say to them, because I know faith has power, right? I say, week's time, a new door is going to open. I do this. If you're in the chat, and I've done this to you because I've done it a lot of times, doors open. Family members come to their aid. Jobs are found. Things change. You're not stuck. You're not stuck. You may be facing the Red Sea, but don't be the swimmer. Come on. Unless you're a really good swimmer. But I'm going to tell you, you're going to be tired as opposed to just letting God lead you through. The violent night, the timing, strange. So the relics were brought during the Crusades, of all things. According to the legend, the knights, possibly members of the Templar, brought the bones of St. Nick to this area in Ireland, which I went to when I was about 15 years old. Oh, don't you know? Lucky Charms. Alyssa actually also made me aware that Hanukkah and Christmas are going to be on the same day. I just thought that was kind of cool. It happens. I think it's going to happen again in 2024. But so we have all of these things kind of conjoining. Moon, Mars, Elnath, spectacular displays in the sky and everything else. The Crusades are everywhere we go. Knights Templar stuff everywhere. And here I am. That was from about 2 months ago. It always says 1 month, but really it's about 2 months ago. I said the return of the Crusades. I told everybody it was coming. Everything is about to change. It's very, very interesting. All of this. That was on September 13th. I'll just remind you, there's Trump Jr. with the Knights Templar cross and the picture of Hillary behind bars on his the butt of his bang bang. Even the Donut just did a whole show about the Templars. The whole thing. It was just the 22nd. Go check out his show. It's pretty good. It's he breaks down a lot of stuff, but then you see the Templar cross. You see it in the Exxon logo. You see it over there. You see it on, that's somebody's son. Secret societies. Secret societies. Even Ye did his thing on Donut Show. You find out that their Jay-Z's bottle has the Templar cross on it. You'll see it front row and center right there. Again and again. This is a spiritual war. A spiritual war that we are all a part of. But who's doing the fighting? Are you going to pick up arms? Or are you going to do what Jesus did? What did Jesus do? I want to remind everybody. I want to address something. So when they came to take him, right? This was before they came to take him. He knew that the hour was at hand when he was going to be betrayed. He knew that he had to lay down his life for everybody else. He knew that the powers that be, Rome, the religious system, he knew they were going to come in. He knew it. So he warned everybody. He said, okay, now I want you to go and sell your cloak, and I want you to buy a sword. Now, everybody uses this as a justification of, oh, well, we need to go out there and we need to take arms. And I say that goofy voice because I'm just trying to make it entertaining. I'm not making fun of anybody. Religion has taught you this. It's a lie. It's wrong. They had two. They said this. There was 12 of them. Well, we have two. And he's like, that's enough. That's all you need. Wait a minute. Hang on a second. If a war is coming, 2 swords is enough? Well, if it was a sword and it was about war and literally doing battle and hurting somebody as they try to hurt you, as opposed to trusting in God and letting God sort it out. I'm not saying you shouldn't defend yourself. Please hear what I'm saying. No one wants to mess with me. That's very true. Okay? 100% every day I train as if I'm going into battle. I like to be ready, but I don't want to hurt anybody. God forbid. I'm certainly not going to go and look for trouble. I'm certainly not going to go downtown. I don't have any weapons. I'm not saying you shouldn't have one either. I have a bow and arrow. I got a slingshot. That's about it. I got a lot of bats. And I got a lot of big, strong men in my house. That word wasn't sword, though. If you actually go and you looked it up, you find out that it's a knife. And it was just a cutlery. It was for meat. It was for cutting meat. It was like, it would be the equivalent of saying, now, sell your cloak and get yourself a Swiss Army knife because we're going to end up on the run. And you're going to need a good knife in the wilderness to gut things, to cut down wood. It wasn't about doing battle. But yet you have people that are going to come and they're going to defend taking arms. That's Jesus Barabbas. Do you remember when they came and they took him at night? No one stayed up and was awake. You know, he was praying and it was like no one was staying up. He felt all alone. It's like, I know what's coming. Is anybody awake or are you all asleep? Are you listening to what I'm saying every week or are you just sleeping? Will you please stay awake for what's to come? Jesus is like, that's all right. Go and pray. So they come. What happens? One of the disciples takes a knife, cuts off the ear of a centurion. Cuts off the ear, right? Does Jesus say, oh, good job? Or does he go on to say, now remember, this is in order of how things happen. Go get yourself, a Swiss Army knife. Get them. We got 2. That's good. That should be 2. 2 should be good enough for you all right now. We probably don't want to go back in town right now. It's hot. They want me. They want me. Maybe we shouldn't go back in town. That's good. You got 2. Let's go. He said, those that live by the sword, different word, even though it's translated to sound the same, different, are going to die by it. And he heals them. That's in the same chapter. Yet people are going to argue with me over this. The Savior of the world doesn't come to destroy literal people, but to destroy the lies and everything and the hate and the evil in our heart. God uses people like Trump, like world leaders to do his bidding. The Savior's here to set us free, to destroy all the things, all of our enemies. And our enemies are not outside of us, people. The enemies are within. He said this, in your own home, you're going to have enemies. He's not talking about just your mom and your dad. You may. He's talking about within you. Those are the enemies that must be destroyed. That's the temple that he went into. If you look at it spiritually, and he literally did it too. I'm not saying that he didn't literally exist. None of these things literally happened. Yes, they all literally happened so that we could understand the spiritual meaning of it. Just like I literally live and my experiences teach me something greater. So I find it odd that as I'm talking about the Red Sea and the hunt that's being on, and as we're talking about the Templars and the spiritual war that's upon us, that there is a new hyper-realistic shroud of Turin figure of Jesus. I blurred it out because it's pretty gross. But I mean, this thing has like real hair. It looks super real. Hyper-realism is like a new form of art. And I guess they took the Shroud of Turin, which is, you probably have heard of it before. Supposedly it was what covered Christ when he died. Not sure if that's literal or like literally happened, but this is like a big deal. Like people believe it. Some people say it's not real. Some people say it is. They've carbon dated it. Who knows? Who knows what to believe, right? But here it is. in Red October. It's titled The Mystery Man. You think that's strange? They would title it The Mystery Man? With all the wounds. My ex-wife actually sent it to me because once again, I had that on the back burner. I'd forgotten about it. I didn't see a connection with this show, but then when she when she texted me, and she said, "Oh, wow, look at this." I was like, "Oh, I'm going to use that in my next show," because I knew that I'd seen it for a reason. I didn't know why. Do you know what a shroud is? Take a look at a shroud. That's a wedding veil. A shroud is something that obscures something and completely wraps a dead person. So, to be carnally minded is death. A shroud obscures something and wraps a dead person. If your vision to the truth is obscured, you are wrapped with a shroud of ignorance, and because you are ignorant, you are dead spiritually. But one day, when the bridegroom comes, that veil's lifted up. I shared this on Twitter too. This is a big deal. And you'll also notice in the bottom, it says Turin, the Shroud of Turin. Well, I wonder what Turin means. It's in Rome. The Shroud of Rome. Egypt, the Roman Empire. All of these kingdoms are here now in the end. He said, those in Nineveh will rise up in this generation. The Queen of the South will rise up in the judgment at the end and will condemn it. Because the truth is here now. No one's listening. The shroud of Rome is so great that they're parading around the suffering that you and I are going to be immersed in. You heard that, right? The Shroud of Turin will immerse you in the suffering and the death of Jesus. Is that coming? I certainly hope not. When you're upright in fear and you're worried all the time, it's easy to think that. But it could also mean that the veil's about to be lifted. It could also mean, because when Israel was set free from Egypt, they weren't killed because they had the blood. They were under the blood. So they were protected when the angel of death came. Now, wouldn't you know it, the Knights Templar also had something to do with the Shroud of Turin. How kooky is that? Why would they keep this secret? All of these things coming out at the same time. John actually was the first one to email me. This was my last show. You'll see right above Boris's head. That is Namor. He is the villain in the next Wakanda movie, Wakanda Forever. And John emailed me and said Namor is Roman backwards. And then I noticed a lot in the comment section, a lot of people were like, Namor is Roman backwards. Rome. Everywhere you look, Rome. But what is the world offering us in our time of need? Is it offering us Christ? Or is it offering us an anti-hero? I saw Black Adam, by the way. Opening scene was great. I'll leave it at that. I took Noah. We went. Because I just finished the show talking about it. I was curious. I wanted to see, where they were going. At the end, Black Adam and Kal-El, Superman, they meet. That's not a spoiler. It's all over the internet. It's kind of like a teaser. You can actually see it right now. At the very end of the Black Adam movie, Superman, Kal-El, and Black Adam meet. They come together. By the way, Black Adam is Teth Adam from Egypt. the Egyptian gods. Very strange. Open to 60 million, they were projecting. I'm not sure if they did that, but 60, of course, we know is judgment. The anti-hero is what the world is offering. Taylor Swift, her latest video where she is bleeding like gooey glitter black stuff and puking gooey glitter black stuff. It's very weird. Is anti-hero. Anti-hero. Anti. Anti is like the opposite of. Here we go. Meet the anti-heroes of Black Adam. Black Adam is the pro-murder anti-hero kids don't need or deserve. That's the hero that is being offered to everybody today. Jesus said, live by the sword. No, he didn't. He said, don't. They deserve it. Kill them. Death penalty to the drug dealers. Death penalty. Although cops do plant drugs on people. Most cops don't. My brother's a cop. He's a great cop. A lot of great cops out there. We should support people that protect us. But there are bad apples in everything. Due process isn't always that fair. A lot of people in jail shouldn't have been. A lot of people exonerated because evidence comes out later in life. Death penalty. Pushing. Trump's pushing for that. Kill a life. While also then trying to take a stand about how it's important to save a life at birth. It's very strange to me. Very strange how someone can say, I'm pro-life, but I'm also pro-death. It's very weird to me. But that's the world we're living in. And that's the anti-hero that this world offers. I find it no coincidence that that big song is out right now and that big movie is out right now and we see anti-heroes everywhere we go. Terrible. And then someone at Jake and me this. Disclosed TV sent this out. Wow. Trump to stand before Pontius Pilate and the Roman court. Rome. His crucifixion is coming soon and then his second coming. Well, I think his crucifixion already happened. He was betrayed for the silver. Do you remember Pence got that silver coin? And they were like, what is that coin? The day that he betrayed him on the 6th. 6 is the number of man. Anti-hero. You better watch out. You better not pout. Once again, God is in control. God is in control. So all of this stuff is working together for the good of those that love the Lord. Not the good of those that don't. It's not going to be a good thing. Propaganda love story from Julius Caesar to Donald Trump. And by the way, that statue below that they had in that picture, that's Mars. And it had been refurbished, refinished, and that's Venus next to it. Aphrodite, you could say. Artemis, whatever. The twins. It's very interesting, Apollo and Artemis. And so you have, Mars was given a new genitalia in that picture. It's a crazy thing. America is eerily retracing Rome's steps to a fall. Will it turn around before it's too late? Nothing new under the sun. Going to be hard to do that when Mars is actually retrograde. Do you know what retrograde means? All right, let's go to the chat. Let's see who knows what retrograde means, because I had to look it up. I don't know much. I don't know much at all. Yeah, Mars is actually retrograde. So this is an interesting thing to me. Interesting thing. Because Mars, of course, it's the god of war. Not exactly the best thing, not exactly the best thing to be retrograde right now. Kane Samuel says Babylon is fallen. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It is indeed fallen. Retrograde will affect each zodiac sign from the 22nd to the 23rd. What's Kanye wearing that hat again? What's his hat again that he's wearing? 2023, 2024. When's that eclipse end? 2024. I said just hang on to there. It's going to be a new order by then. I think by 2024, we're going to be living in, you think things are weird now. I think they're going to be very different. Very, very different. Very, very different. Yeah, so retrograde is, let me show you what it means. Moving backwards. A degenerate person. Debauchery. Degenerate person, debauchery, moving backwards, carnality, ignorance. It's going to affect every sign. Murder, killing, all of this stuff. Terrible, bad. Degeneration, retrograde, X, symbol of Christ. The degenerate Christ celebrates 25-year anniversary on WWE Raw. X. The X app. Symbol of Christ. The anti-hero. The fake one that's going to be revealed in the last time. Being revealed, I think, pretty clearly to me. So let's take a look at who this Antichrist is, because I've done shows on this. We will have a literal figure who will probably be a tyrant, a dictator, sure. I had a weird dream where Trump was, and I've talked about this weird dream, not the one with the coffin, not the one with this or that, but this one where I was staring at him and he shook his head and he turned to President Xi, and he shook his head again and he turned back to Trump, and he shook his head and he turned to President Xi and he shook his head again. What color is that country? The red dragon. Red. Everywhere you look, Satan claws. Better watch out. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. So this is in 1 John, okay? And this is basically, John's trying to tell everybody, don't listen to everybody today that's saying, oh, the Antichrist is this guy, the Antichrist is that guy. He said, but test them, test these words out, try them, see if they're true. Beloved, believe not every spirit. And by the way, a spirit is a thought. That should help you, okay? Because, you're not looking at ghosts here. We're talking about thoughts. Believe not every thought. Spoken word. Jesus said, my words are spirit. Believe not every word that's spoken from someone's head, from a thought. But test these thoughts that you have, whether they are of God. And how do we do this? Well, I always tell people, let love be the litmus test. If it creates fear in you, anxiety in you, it's a good call. It's not God. If it gets you to want to do things to protect yourself that probably aren't moral, lashing out at people, it's probably not God. God comes, he's a still small voice. Because there are many false prophets that are gone out in the world. Many of them. Many. Not one, many. Not just people that change their name to the light. Many are out there today. But this is how we know the Spirit of God. Okay, so now this is John saying, you want to know who knows God? You want to know who doesn't know God? Okay. Every spirit that doesn't confess that Christ is come in the flesh is of God. So those that say that Christ, Jesus Christ, and notice that word is, it's not was. Some versions have it as has, because Christ did come in the flesh. But Christ is always in the flesh. Christ in you is the hope of glory. Everyone that says, no, Christ is not coming in the flesh, they're not of God. But everyone that says Christ in you is the hope of glory and understands that Christ is coming in his body, his literal body, which is you, is of God. This is a big thing to understand. Every spirit, and by the way, that word confesses. What does it mean? It means to concede, not to refuse the promise. Not to refuse the promise. It's not just about going around, I was at the gym. Let me come over here for a second. I was at the gym, and I have a tendency of encouraging people. And for whatever reason, somebody overheard this, came over to me, and then went and found somebody else who's an evangelist, who's a nice guy. Came over, very first thing he says to me, do you believe that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh, has died and rose again on the third day? I'm like, yeah. I said, but you want to put me in your box, don't you? Your box. It's like, that's not how you test the spirits. He's waiting for something outside of him. I'm revealing, hopefully, the Christ that's already within all of us, rising from the tomb that is us, speaking the truth as a witness. Jesus said, I'm in the world, as I am in the world, so are you. As he is, so are you. I'm the light of the world, you're the... Why? Because he died so that now his spirit is in everyone that God has called. Everyone. That's the body. Much greater work than these shall I do. You wait for one? There's one body, one spirit, one baptism, one Lord that's in all and through all and is all. That's in Scripture. But how many people know the Scriptures today? Not many. You, though, my friends, are of God, you little children, and have overcome them, because greater is Christ in you. See what he's talking about? Not talking about somebody outside of you. Because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. You got nothing to worry about. But if you don't agree with that, if you don't concede, if you don't believe, if you don't admit it and confess your guilt, if you don't declare it, if you deny it, there's a problem. They are of the world, they speak of the world, and the world hears them. Like if I talk like everybody else who goes to every mega church, I would have a much bigger channel. But we are of God. He that knows God hears us. He that is not of God, not us. He that is not of God hears not us. So those that understand and know God hear what I'm saying. Those that don't know God, they're going to come over and they're going to ask you, hey, do you believe this? Do you believe that? Give me the code. Give me the code. Give me the word. Give me the magic words. Witchcraft. As opposed to dying to yourself and laying down your life willingly. Hereby we know the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. Believe, beloved, let us love one another. For love is of God. Everyone that loves is born of God and knows God. Love doesn't condemn, doesn't cast out, doesn't accuse, doesn't tear down. Love endures forever. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is gentle. Love is meek. Love is humble. But that's not the anti-hero that's being shared with everybody today. And it's easy to be tricked. That's why it says that even the elect, if they could be deceived. That's how grand this delusion is. He that loves not doesn't know God. If you don't love people that even are mean to you, and all I mean by that is even people that hurt you, attack you, threaten you. I get threatened by people I care about when they don't like what I'm saying. Threatened, like to destroy me. Terrible things. People I care about. People I pray for. If you don't love, that's love. Even those that are hardest to love. I mean, where's the reward? Jesus said, where's the reward in loving people that love you? There's no reward there. If you can't love people that hate you, and all that means is that you want to see good for them. My ex-wife and I get along very, very well now. She's in California. We have a good relationship. I mean, enough that she sends me stuff about, on a regular basis. And but there was a time when, man, it would have been easy for me to hate what happened. But I started praying for her. And I didn't want to hurt her. I didn't make her life harder. I continued to try to help. That's love. That's love. Even those that hurt you the most. Now, this is how we know God and we know those that don't know God. In this was manifested the love of God towards us, because that God sent his only begotten Son into the world that we might live through him. Through. By means of. It's no longer I that live, Paul says, but Christ that lives in me, that we might live through him. This is the love that God has manifested to us, because God sent his only begotten Son and placed him in you. And this is the mystery that's been hidden from the ages, the thing that I've been sharing for decades. The thing that today, now alone, people are starting to grasp. And it's right there in Scripture. But there's been a veil. And that veil has been taken away. The shroud of Rome, who wants you to believe in a God that would torture you so that when people don't agree with Rome and they're tortured, you're there cheering them on. Because they're not believers of that anti-hero that they have given you and sold you on. Herein is love. Not that we loved God, but that God loved us and sent his Son to be an appeasement of our sins. Christ in you delivers you from your sins, cleans house in you. Literally, he literally in the flesh, literally laid down his life so that now in you, his flesh, you can lay down your life and Christ can rise again. It's not good that man be alone. It's not like we're going to all be people walking around saying, I am Jesus. No, of course not. I am Jacob. You are whoever you are. But Christ in you. This is the hope of glory. And it's the glory of God to conceal a thing and the honor of people like us to seek the matter out. Christ comes is revealed in the mystery. Beloved, if God so loved us, we should also love one another. No man has seen God at any time. Hear that again. No man has seen God at any time. If we love one another, God dwells in us and his love is perfected in us. That's how we know God, through our love. Hereby we know that we dwell in him and he dwells in us. Once again, we're not talking about anything outside of us because he's given us his Spirit of truth. It's called the Holy Spirit. Jesus said this was going to happen. I'm going to go because you're putting your faith in me, one literal man. You don't understand that the Spirit is in me. It's going to be poured out and it's going to come into you. And we've seen this and we testify that the Father sent the Son to be the Savior of the world. Where did he send the Son? In our hearts. So whoever confesses this dwells in him, and he dwells in God. And we've known and we've believed that the love of God has to us. God is love. He that dwells in love dwells in God and God in him. Herein is our love made perfect, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment, which is coming, which happens for every man at a different time. But in the world, it's going to be a big deal because here's the big line. Because as he is, so are we. I know you don't believe it. I know you don't believe it. This is how God's love is perfected, that you become someone who lays down his life for another. That you become someone who feeds the hungry with the little bit of bread and fish that the people have. You take that little bit that they have and you expand on it. Because as he is, so are we in this world, the body of Christ, the name of Christ, the mind of Christ. And there is no fear in love. Perfect love casts it out. Because fear has torment. He that fears is not made perfect. We love him. Why do we love God? Because he first loved us. And I'm telling you this. If a man says, I love God, but hates someone else, he's a liar. For he that loves not his brother, whom he's seen, how can he possibly love God, who he hasn't? This is an important day that we're all living in. I'm going to come over to the live chat to say goodbye. I think we covered a lot. I'm hoping that you all will do me a favor. I feel like these videos, I feel like they're really important. I feel like they're very, I think they carry great weight. I think people need to listen. I need you to share it and help people. help people. Will you help people? Share me around. Share the channel around. Don't try to explain everything to everybody. Just say, watch this. You want to see what Christ in you is? Watch this. You want to see how Rome is being revealed? The anti-hero is being revealed? You want to see how the God of war is upon us? About to occupy us, God of war. Rome, occupy us, Rome. The Rome show was underrated, Elon said. What a great time to be alive, huh? What a great time to be alive. Listen, I love each and every one of you. You want to support the channel? You want to help me out? You can get yourself a Buckle Up shirt. You can get yourself a Teach Me the Truth shirt or anything else. You can get a backpack. You can get anything. Get a little hoodie. You know, you can get Teach Me the Truth. I Am a Witness. You can get yourself a copy of The Calling, which I love. My favorite book. You know. Oh, look at this. What did I open up to? What does this say? Hang on. Can you read it? Everyone will know love. How funny is that? Oh my goodness gracious. Everyone will know love. Everyone will know love, my friends. Yeah, every chapter title, by the way, in the book, I have a lot of secret messages and a lot of hidden stuff in there. Every chapter title, if you string them together, there's a secret message. And I don't know how long it's going to be before I get this audio book done. It might be next year. I don't know what's going to happen. The guy who, spent this money and only got like 75 pages done, and he hasn't edited it, and he's having issues. You know, everybody's having issues. So I'm understanding it, and I'm just believing everything's in God's timing. So if you want to get yourself a book, go to Amazon, leave a review. There's a lot of reviews there. And on Patreon or PayPal, anything, all the links in the description below. It's helpful. I'm grateful to you. I love you. I thank you. And I'll see you again very, very soon. Love each other, will you? Forgive. Be encouraged. Don't swim that Red Sea by yourself. It's going to part for you. I promise you. You're going to be okay. All right? I love you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.